All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to this beautiful Friday morning. It's actually sunny out. It's like amazing this morning. Crazy rain last night. It looks good this morning. So hope everybody has got their coffee. I'm just a few sips into my first cup. I want to make sure I had everything set up, and I had to kind of bounce back and forth. So if you guys can give me a quick sound check, make sure that you can hear me. It looks like the red bar is moving enough, so you should be able to. But you know how this thing is; it gets a little bit funky sometimes. Um, Man, trying to get logged in to Twitch now, I gotta tell you guys, it's crazy. So I guess Twitch just updated things with like different backgrounds, and you can put entry videos and all this other stuff and social media links. It's like for me trying to log in, it's completely different now. So I have to go in there and like update everything today with links and times and schedules and take other things out. Um, I guess it's good. Whenever we make progress, it's always a good thing. So overall, let's go just like right into things today. You guys will see I have the scanner actually set more for the day trading time frame, so we can make sure that we go in there. And it's all right. It's looking a little bit flat this morning, but we'll see what we can grab. News this morning has been pretty interesting. So starting off right up top, you guys can see 24-hour pip changes are always important. Obviously with news yesterday, we were kind of interested in seeing what type of moves we would have bounce around, particularly with the European Union, with the Eurogroup meetings going on. And we didn't really have that much. Obviously, a little bit of dollar strength coming back in the markets, which I think surprised a few people. But we had been such on a negative kick for for like the last week. Not necessarily surprising, but we've seen in the last 24 hours the euro down about 38 pips, and that's nice. I mean, the euro's just been on an absolute streak, but it's been running in a supply most recently. So seeing that one down 38 is pretty good. Pound dollar down 27. That's kind of interesting. Again, the GDP number was actually much worse than expected. It's supposed to be down 18. So they had already planned for bad, and it came in slightly worse than bad. And none of the other data really looked great for the pound either. So it's kind of interesting. I guess the goods trade balance was probably the best number that they had this morning, and that was actually a pretty substantial beat on that one. It's still negative, obviously, but a lot less than what they thought it was going to be. So pretty interesting. So again, that one is down about 32. Um, and in relation to that as well, we're seeing the euro pound down about 8. So just slightly, right? Dollar yen down 28 pips in the last 24 hour, or I'm sorry, up 28 pips in the last 24 hours. So that's kind of interesting. Dollar Swiss, again, this one going up 37. It's kind of nice to see this one rebounding a bit as well. That was going pretty much down. But again, it goes with the entire dollar strength strategy. Dollar CAD up 67. That one's been kind of moving lately. Man, the volatility has really been back in the dollar CAD. That is in the last 24 hours the biggest of the movers. Aussie dollar, again, dollar strength down about 23 pips. So we've been kind of calling this one for a little while now. This one actually had a big kind of push down in the yesterday. Again, I'll show you that one in the charts. That again, another one of those ones coming off daily supply. I mentioned that earlier in the week. Then pound down, and then pound yen only down 2 pips in 24 hours, which is kind of crazy, right? I mean, for a pair that is considered the most volatile, um, yeah, 2 pips. But again, what did it do? It had a big drop and then a big retrace back up again. So, yeah, it's one of those pairs that's just been kind of crazy. But it just goes to show you, I mean, this is a perfect example right here. I mean, the pound yen has a daily ATR of 180 pips, right? So on average, it's been moving about 180, right? It's moved 4 in 24 hours. Okay. And again, it's literally up and down in that same time frame. So it had a decent day. Again, in the last top to bottom, it's moved about 238 pips, but the open and close right now is only about 5. So it's kind of tracking itself. So pretty interesting. Again, just goes back to day traders market, not necessarily a swing traders market, because it's again bouncing all over the place. All right, but not really moving. As far as news goes so far this morning, you can see most of the European news was, I'd say, more or less negative, right? Most of the pound data is negative. Euro data is not horrible. Industrial production number is not quite as bad for the euro number here, right here, month over month. But again, they were predicting negative 19. It was minus 11.9 before. Minus 17, while it's not as bad, it's still not great, right? It's still not great. In about 20 minutes, we have the capacity utilization rate coming in. And that's not supposed to be much different for CAD, so I don't expect too much movement there. Import prices, not really a big mover. The GDP estimate may matter, but not so much. And then 930 is the CB leading index. Not worried about that either, but I think this consumer sentiment number 10 is going to be a big one. So as you guys know, I'm a very big believer and big proponent of people trading the 10 a.m. reversals, 10, 10:30. particularly when we have something like this. Once we get kind of the morning trend, seeing what the open brings us, most times we have some type of reversal, 10, 10:30, sometimes even out to 11, but for the most part, 10 and 10:30. And having news kind of associated with that as well also adds to that. So interesting number here. I mean, expected the consumer sentiment is expected to be better than what we were previously. 75 is not great. I mean, if we look, historically what it's been, you can see back, 100, 97, those tend to be a bit better areas. That's typically where it is, right? For the last, year, we've been up in these high 90s. Now, it obviously dropped down to 71, but, then to 73. So climbing back is interesting. And again, in all kind of, it doesn't matter what type of economic factors you're looking at, the one most important thing that drives the entire economy is the consumer. If the consumer doesn't buy, it doesn't matter how great companies are. If no one's buying their products, they're not making any money. Everything else goes downhill. So consumer sentiment is one of the numbers that, getting your fingers on the pulse of what the consumer believes, where the economy's going, how stable, and all those kinds of things, they matter a lot. So this is kind of a big number, particularly going into a Friday. And, they've done a pretty good job with it. So again, this is, lining up for a good 10 o'clock. As far as, looking at what the news is, I don't know. Nothing really kind of stands out. Inflation data over here, Japan passes, $298 billion for a second extra budget. Kind of interesting. I mentioned some Jackson Hole. Dollar CAD, approaching the 20-day SMA. It's okay. UK formally waives Brexit extension option. This is kind of breaking news just because, they've been so anti, we're not going to extend anything. And you can see, the UK informed the UK it's, reluctant to extend the period, but they're actually mentioning it. They're reluctant, where before it was, no, we're not extending it. So that's kind of a little softening there. So that brings an interesting kind of new phase in. The economy likely hit bottom. So Japan is already saying that we've hit the rock bottom, which it could be at this point, right? And here's that UK thing. UK backtracks on full UE border checks amid coronavirus. So there's a little bit more weakening as well. That's it so far this morning. This is big news that they're mentioning the word. We're reluctant to do it, but you didn't say no, right? They were saying no for the longest time. So interesting stuff here. All right. So with that said, let's dive into the scanner. So the scanner is going to be a little bit different this morning. Obviously, typically we're looking at more swing trading or overnight trading. So we're using the larger time frames. This morning, we're using more of the smaller time frames. Okay. So we're kind of at 8 o'clock in the morning. We're kind of in the lull right now because, again, the European traders have kind of gone fast and furious all morning with no U.S. intervention. Now, obviously, we're kind of in that lull before the U.S. steps into the market. Okay, typically about 8:30, 9 o'clock is when futures traders are getting in. So we're a little bit, pre-market at this point. Right now, again, you're going to see a lot of consolidation, but you're seeing a lot of checks here. A lot of checks. And again, when I say a lot of checks, we're talking about continuation patterns. Aussie dollar, pound dollar, euro dollar, New Zealand dollar, and the 3 hour, they're all confirmed downtrends right now. And again, it's the U.S. hasn't stepped in there to kind of change these trends. That's why you're seeing these. Across the board on the Aussie, we're seeing down. For the most part on the pound, minus the, going against the Aussie, we're seeing, weakness across the board here as well. Euro basket against CAD, pound, yen, and dollar all seeing down. So it looks like there's been a lot of negativity here in the last kind of 3 hours as far as kind of the euro goes, but also seeing a lot of dollar strength, right? Dollar up here when it is the lead pair, it's considered bullish. All the secondary pairs, boom, right here. Confirmed, 30-minute confirmed, and not even getting any pullback. So that's kind of interesting. Right now, it looks like the only thing we have a setup is in a dollar Swiss. So we'll go ahead and check that one out all the way across the board. It looks like we do just have a recent anchor break as well in the Aussie New Zealand, but that's going to be a little bit funkier repair since neither of those economies is open right now. So yeah, it looks like dollar Swiss is the only thing marked right now. I do expect this to change in the next 30 minutes to an hour once U.S. traders come online. So just kind of interesting. And again, we have dollar yen up here as well now. So, all right, we'll check that one. And then euro pound. All right, so let's go across. Again, this is giving me kind of the idea of what's going on this morning, and then I'll keep this up. You guys have seen this kind of setup that I have. Again, I don't use it on the chart school one. I have the one that pops it up and then sets the alerts for me. So it's the square one. Actually, I guess the rectangle one that goes on my left monitor. So this is a little bit different. Whoops, I'm moving stuff all over the place now. No, stay right there. Thought I had that locked in. I should probably lock that. Or why that moved suddenly on me. All right. Sorry about that, guys. Didn't try to make anybody car sick there. I was like, wait, why is it moving? There we go. Let's lock that in place. All right. So let's go over across and look at charts. Let's go to Aussie dollar first because overnight we've seen the Aussie dropping a bit lower. All right, so off the daily again, start up there. We saw that big pullback off that daily supply. We talked about that huge day yesterday to the downside. Now we've seen a little bit of a pop. So if you guys remember, we had a zone set up over here that we were looking for some type of a break for, right? I'm going to go back in time here and kind of show you what we had here. So we had an area that we ended up pulling off of, and we said, hey, listen, we have a Harry Potter trade that we're looking for in this zone. We got to see how aggressive and where the pullback happens. So here, that green line is the indicator drawn zone. And again, we had the actual basically entry for it before. And we were saying, hey, listen, Harry Potter, Harry Potter. And we were waiting for all this to come up. It finally came back down again, and we ended up getting that Harry Potter in the overnight here. This one kicked in, what? Last night at about, what, 7 o'clock? 8 o'clock is when we ended up kind of pulling back. We got the kind of extension. I tend to like a lot of times a little bit more. And again, on the 30-minute, you can see we ended up getting that. Most of the Harry Potter trade entries for me, as you guys know, are on the 30-minute. Here's kind of that exact kind of pullback. And again, depending on your spread, and I just roughly threw the fib lines on this one. This was not my execution chart. But you can see we ended up getting the drop below, the pullback to the zone, and then the push down to the 1 to 3. So turned out to be a nice position. And then we got reversed, and it did that same thing. This is always interesting for me to point out for people because people are like, what do you mean? Why does it, why is it was buyers before, why is it sellers now? And you guys can see, not only did it slow, right? It pulled down, then it became the area of sellers. But then what happened on the way up? It got front run, and what did it do? It not only pulled back down, because again, you can see the red candle, but it based in that same area, popped up, and then came back down and pulled into it again. So again, we don't need to know the exact reason. We just have to know that they are there. A lot of people get so stuck on the why. It's like, well, why did it do it there? Why did it pause here? Why did it use it here? Why did it come back? Why did it get stuck again? And why is it pulling back again? A lot of this has to do with computers, algorithms, things like that. Balancing, a lot of different reasons in there. Just understand that this is what typically happens. Zones stay for a while and become buying, then selling, then buying, then selling. They flip back and forth. Sometimes there are psychological reasons, obviously, around zeros and fives. This is not necessarily the case, but this is an area that we've seen, hit many, many different times at this point. All right. So there was our Harry Potter in the overnight. We can take off the previous history at this point. So where we are right now, we're kind of in between. I'm going to take this position off now completely. We don't need it anymore. It's run through this area enough now that, again, we will continue to pull into it, but let's try to get a new trend for this morning. There was another short in here. There was a position sitting right in here that you would have been able to get access to. I would have to say this is probably a valid trade for the rest of the morning, pushing to the downside. We're a bit far to get entered in it now. This one would have had to been triggered at about 11 o'clock last night. Couple ways you could have played this one. One with obviously using this zone. You can see the descending wicks on it, which is always nice. If you threw your risk to reward ratio on there, you can see we got a bit more to go, and that's actually a very valid target. The 1 to 3 is sitting right above that zone, which is exactly where we want to make sure that we were out before. So again, we're, about 40 pips into that one already, heading back to the downside. That's if you had taken it off the supply zone. If you used the failure to go higher, it would have actually been shifted, and you would have put it down to here. And, whoops, right there. And again, basically your profit target is just a little bit less. So 2 different entries. Of the 2, I actually would have liked this one much better. Again, whenever you see a pullback and you see a wick, a lower wick, a lower wick, and a lower wick, the only way that that's able to happen is if sellers are stepping into the market to push this market down. Because if there's no sellers, you would have a higher wick, a higher wick, a higher wick, and a higher wick. And it made attempts, but every single time it got kind of smacked to the downside. So that would have been your entry on that one. Again, using you could have used that or the bottom of the body. Either one would have worked. You could have used it here to there, okay? And it wouldn't have changed much besides the profit target. But, like I said, the safe way of taking this one would have been having your profit target just above this 1 to 3 here, which would have put you at about a 50 pip gainer. Which going into a Friday, if you're banking 50 pips in the Aussie dollar, great way to wake up that morning. Like I said, right now you're about 40 pips up, about 38 pips up right now. All right. So, earthquaking. There's an earthquake somewhere. First basket is 3 hour 30. No, it shouldn't be. Is it set for 3? I don't know. I may have clicked 3. No, it actually should be 5, but the 5-minute and the 3-minute is not different. That's just a misclick. No, typically it's 30. It's 3 hour, 30-minute, and 1. I will change it sometimes. Like you'll see the pound basket. Ernest was up there was 30, or it was 3 hour, 1 hour, 30-minute, because the pound tends to move a bit more. I do actually have the 5 on there as well. And here, you know what? I'll actually just switch it. I'll show you what the loadout. My day trading looks like this. I have it set for day trading. Try to get this all right here. So this is what I have up on the left screen normally. Right there are my pairs. Oops. Right there. Right there. And then obviously scan. This is what I typically have up, Ernest, during the day. Okay. And that way I'm able to get kind of a little bit better review of all time. I just don't have enough real estate right now to do it. But yeah, this is, I don't use the sideways one, not just for chart school. During the day, oops. This is how I have it up, so I can get a view at all times. All right. Analyze that one so we don't get that one out of there. Oh, my screen was shaking? No, yeah, James, I was moving it. Like, I typically have everything locked so I can't change it. And for some reason, it must have unlocked in one of the upgrades. And when I went to click something and move it, I was like, oh god, it's moving. Yeah, so I locked it now. And then I was trying, and then I realized when I locked it, it wasn't in the middle. And one of you guys with OCD will be like, hey, it's not in the middle. This one technically is not in the middle either. It's slightly off. I don't know if I can move this one either. No, that's just the overlay. This one has an overlay on it, so no. This one's slightly off too. Anyway, guys, this one will obviously continue pushing back to the downside this morning. Again, news may affect us slightly, but I do think that this one would have been good in the overnight if we were able to grab it. Also, again, same exact thing, bouncing off a 30-minute. You guys can see this one, the indicator marked off. This is much, much clearer. You guys should have definitely been able to see this one. Again, nice, strong movement. A lot of basing, kind of was, again, using this same area right here, okay? And then what do we get? Explosion. Drop, base, drop, base, drop, and it continued to push back to the downside. So this one had the same setup. This one is really pretty much at this point. I think this one is, actually, I don't even need to use fib on this, so I can just go this one. You guys can see this one just actually passed. And again, this would have been a great place. This is actually the indicator marking off a wick over wick, which I wouldn't have used it there, but that way. Okay. Again, continuing to push to the downside. This one I would probably, I actually don't mind the 1 to 5. I may have taken this one off at this level right here. This one kind of kicked in the same exact time as well. This was actually this was a 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning. This was an early one. I didn't catch this one, but you know, you guys can see the zone on this one formed yesterday morning. So this one has been here for a while. There's been a couple other small little pullback areas. And again, you guys can see this basing level pulled back. This one it pulled back, but this one went off a little bit higher of a level as well. So again, this one is more or less completed at this point. You could look for a small pullback, but it's going to run into some bumps right around this 73 area right here and another one here. Aussie is always kind of one of those trades. It's great to take Thursday night, but once we hit Friday morning, we tend not to have as much movement on this. But you can see continuing to kind of turn and push back to the downside. Let's try to see. Do we have anything? You guys can see on the 4 hour where that one is kind of bouncing off of right now. Yeah, I would say I'm still bearish this position for the day. Again, we'll see when the U.S. market data comes in, that consumer sentiment. But, you know, the way this one is looking, it looks like it wants to continue to fall a bit more. And like I said, a little bit of a sticking point right down here at 73.40. But for the most part, I think we should be good on this one. Unless the news is really, really surprising, but I don't think it's... Yeah. All right. So no setup on that one. Euro yen. Actually, let me pull a scanner up real quick. Gotta shrink it so it fits onto the other one. Different resolutions, different monitors. It's kind of like, yeah, I'll just hold it right there. All right. Euro yen had the same exact setup as well. Remember, these are all yen-based trade setups at this point. Again, you guys can see this one came up at 5 o'clock in the morning, mentioning that, you know, the bottom is in. Same idea. And like I said, this would have been one we would have been able to mark off. Maybe I made an error. Maybe we should have done chart school last night instead of this morning, because so many of these hit early. This is about another 6 a.m. clock in the morning. This one actually only lasted about an hour before this one hit its 1 to 3. I do think our 1 to 5 target is probably okay here as well. And again, this one, very, very similar. Again, very, very high on the curve. We started shorting this after a huge push up last week. And again, this week, actually late last week, we ended up flipping on this one, and it's continuing to push to the downside. Again, there was your entry based off of this basing level here, and we talked about that earlier in the week, that this would have been an entry, right? There was your entry. Continue to push down. This one actually didn't go as far as I thought. I thought we would get a little bit more out of this one. I thought we would move back in this level, but we did turn. So I'm wondering if this is just trying to get more orders to make a much bigger push back down. And again, it looks like it's having some issues right in that basing level. So this one is not updated. There we go. All right. So there. Let's drop back down. Oops. That's bigger. Let's go back into there. So one thing I would look out for if you guys are going to take this position short this morning is watch this level right here. Okay, this little pullback right here, this obviously nice push, a pullback, and then a pump off again. It's been tested, so we know there's some buyers sitting in that level. It's about 25 to 30 pips below where we are right now, so it should be okay. Not too far to the downside, but I think that'll be all right. This could be a potential level at 10 o'clock. If we're able to grind down over the next hour and a half, again, because of news and other things in U.S. markets coming online, this is a potential kind of 30-minute turn at 10. Again, we've seen buyers step in before. If it drops below, obviously we have a racetrack back down to, 120-ish? Let's see. Down to, 120.45-ish to all the way down to the 122. Yeah, that's a potential 30-minute. I should probably do that over the yen too. Yen kind of has one as well, the Aussie yen. I would put it right here. And again, because of the wick pattern in here, it's a wick, higher wick, and then boom, explosion off the top. That would be another potential 30-minute kind of reversal area as well. All right. Let's go across the yen. So here's your 4-hour. So here's why that the pound yen is basically where it started, right? It was over here yesterday. Big drop down, big spike back up again. And again, a little bit beyond where we were looking for entry. We mentioned that this would have been a great area, and you can see that this one had some problems there, right? Had some problems right here. It hit it and bounced, and then finally punched through before going back to the top side. So, again, that was a target short, and that's where we're at now. So, this one is a little bit different. I wouldn't say that there's anything super clean in here. This is a lot of grindy, a lot of slow movement, and the pound has been slower this week. I actually don't like anything in this one for a 30-minute reversal. I just don't think there's anything. Wouldn't actually draw that zone there either. No, I wouldn't trade this one with a 30-minute reversal today. I'm just not seeing it in this one. No 30 minutes. If anything, the only thing I would be looking to take would be this up here. But it's got to move. Got to move 60 pips in the next hour and a half. I just don't see that coming in. This could be something we're looking at next week. Looking for that zone. And again, we're on the 15-minute. You can see it on the 30 as well. It's just marking off that top zone, which is fine. The 30-minute just has it marked off a little bit easier. That's probably going to be something for next week. So we'll keep that on the radar for next week. All right. Let's go dollar US. So had a little bit of a burst on this one. Obviously, we had the negative news. Right? So we got close. I wouldn't necessarily have taken a short off of this one. It's always great to see this and say, yep, would have taken that short. That would have been a perfect, knockout bracket. But looking at this big spike on the candle here, it's not an area I would have taken. This one here, yes. This one, no, not so much. I just don't like the candle formation on that one. What I'm talking about is that it's just too much for this time frame. You're talking about 30 pips on a 30-minute. It's not really my thing. This level would have been much better to take it off of, but it looks like we've turned and started to push back to the downside. We have a downside confirmation with the red, green, red pattern. I take any of these reversals. About 50 pip drop in an hour and a half. It's probably going to be a bit much. Don't think this one's going to catch a 10. That one either. Only about 20. It's about 45 to a clean level. So you could potentially. It's close. That's where the level actually is. If I'd be looking for a reversal, and again, it has to be at 10 o'clock when that news comes out to see if we can get it. It's a very small. It's not a very big zone. You're talking about something along those lines. And again, only if we hit it at 10 o'clock. We may just base, and I don't think it's even big. We're talking about, it's only about 8 pips. So it's not horrible, but that would be what I would set up for a 10 o'clock reversal. Right now, again, it's still continuing to the downside. There's a little bit of a wick. We'll see if it can get there. But again, we need U.S. traders to step in and really start driving this thing, given some, given whether dollar strength or dollar weakness for the day. Okay. Euro pound. So euro pound actually on the scanner, I believe euro pound was, yeah, it's in a downtrend setup right now on the 3 hour. So I only have 4 on here, but you're seeing that it's a downtrend setup. Unfortunately, here's where the downtrend setup actually happened. So again, this was on one of the larger time frames. This is quite a large zone, just FYI, so don't get too crazy with this one. But it actually is on a 30-minute as well. So let's drop down. Unfortunately, it's a bit wicky. Yeah, I mean, you guys can see it right here. That's where the entry is. Moved about 52 pips. This zone up top, it's a 45 pip zone. I'm not taking a 45 pip zone on this pair, but you guys can see where it stepped in. This would have been a great Nadix position, taking something short where you were kind of capped on your risk with something a bit farther. I mean, again, moving 60 pips, not bad. So again, this is more of a swing-based trade at this point. Unfortunately, the wicks of the news has this one a little bit weird. It's not obviously the cleanest one. There's obviously a zone here with those wicks. Again, the ascending wicks coming up, and that's what the bounce actually popped off of. Obviously, the euro pound is not, it doesn't qualify really for a 10 o'clock in the morning reversal. It's not 10 o'clock in the morning for either of these two, as well as it's not associated with the dollar. This would have been a nice little setup here. That was about 2 o'clock this morning for basically European Open. 3 o'clock this morning, which coincided with their news. Actually, that was the GDP number. The spike up because of GDP, and then the collapse back to the downside. So that would have been the news trade of the morning. Again, I wasn't trading these at 2 o'clock. Was dealing with the baby, obviously, although she was asleep this morning, so I was happy with that. But there would have been your news trade this morning off this one. Nice run down, and again, good profit target on this one. We're probably going to see a continued push up. Due to this wick being here, though, I don't know how much more we're going to actually push. This is a weird clearing wick, so I don't know. Don't love this one either. But again, it's Friday afternoon. Their market's about to close in a few hours. There's not much left in this one. Wouldn't be surprised if this starts to roll over and comes down and settles itself down in this 30-minute. This will be one we're looking for Sunday night as well. Dollar. Euro dollar. So yeah, so euro dollar has been more or less stabilized inside of this small area. It's only moved 34 pips in the last 24 hours. This one is giving us an interesting opportunity to the downside. So I don't know that this small zone here, again, on an hourly, it's about 9 pips. It probably has the ability to hold. What I'd like to see is I'd like to see this push through this and be in this bottom zone down here. Okay, we do have a knockout bracket sitting down here at 112.47. So if you're interested in taking something on consumer sentiment, this actually wouldn't be a bad knockout to take to the downside or to the upside. Okay, we'd be looking for, oops, right there. Quite a mover. Let's see, how much do we need out of that one? Risk is about 25, so it's not the smallest of risk. It's about an 80 pip mover. I don't know if we're gonna get that much on a Friday to get this full 1 to 3, but again, your risk actually would be shrunk a bit because that's where the knockout actually occurred. Your true risk on this using the knockout, about 19 pips. And that's not actually a bad place for it. Again, that's if we're down in the zone for news. If we're sitting where we are now and then it drops afterwards, we're going to run out of time. It will expire. If you want to hold in the weekend, it's probably an okay position. If we're not down there by 10, what I would really like to see is I'd like to see dollar weakness today. I would like this to rally back up. I'd like to be in the zone for Sunday night to be able to take this short. I do think we will see dollar strength come back into the market next week. Don't really want to see the strength right now. I would like this to, I'd like it to rally up and then have the strength come back in. Okay, is where I'd like to see it. On a 4 hour. Yeah, I still want it to rally up a bit more. Yeah, if we can get that rally up, I'd be really happy. Up to here. But again, taking a news trade based off this lower level at 10 o'clock would not be a bad position as well. Okay, and like I said, that would be for the University of Michigan consumer sentiment. And that could definitely move this position because if we don't come in at 75, we can get some dollar weakness real quick in this one. Okay. All right, so that's euro dollar CAD. So dollar CAD is actually just pulling right back up into a zone right now. A little bit of a wick over wick to turn and flip to the downside. Yeah, I like this one. I actually think this one has some potential today. Like I said, it's rallied up in the overnight dollar strength. I don't know if we're going to be a hold here for an hour and a half before this one starts to move on us, but I think that this could give us a, a pretty interesting trade setup. The 1 to 3 is a bit far, but I do think that price will come back down. The 1 to 5, I think, is actually kind of in the perfect location. This is the last time we really saw true, like really nice, really spiky price, right? This level of basing, right? Price popped up, went sideways, pulled back just a little bit, and then bam, it popped, okay? It did pull back down. It came into a little tiny zone right here. It's kind of a, I'm kind of surprised that it turned there, and that's why I feel like it's grabbing some more orders to bring some, some strength back in. Question is, can we hold this zone or not? It's only about 16 pips. It's not too bad. We're getting red in it right now. You're seeing right now it pulled back in it again even on the 15-minute. You actually could probably shrink this a bit. This one is probably not that late in. Right, we've just kind of left that area. Again, on a 15-minute, that 1 to 3 makes sense, and actually the 1 to 5 makes sense on that one as well. We were able to lower risk on this one down to about 10 pips. So it's kind of like, 10 pips is not too bad, right? We're getting a pullback right now. See if we can get this one to the downside. Again, this would be one of those ones that, if you are up in profit pretty close to, your profit target, and it's like 945, 950, 955, you may want to think about taking yourself out. No point in losing all your profit on that one for something like this, this news release. But remember, 75, while it's better than before, it's still not a big endorsement that the consumer is happy. Again, leading into kind of some negativity, which could also lead the dollar to, obviously be considered weak, which gives the CAD strength, which also pushes it back down again. So this number, it's lining up to kind of match what we see in the fundamentals to the downside. All right. Let's go across to dollar yen. So dollar yen, yeah, this one got close to a 4-hour zone. All right. So here's where we are right now. Again, we were pulling up, but you can see, looking to the left, there's not a lot of big movement, right? Little basing, a little bit of a test, but nothing really crazy here. There's a zone a bit higher, but it's kind of, where would you draw it? Well, on the 4-hour, you can see it here, right? There's a zone a bit higher that I would actually think is probably the best entry, right? The one thing I will say about it that I don't like is the fact that this green wick is not the first one, right? It's the second candle in. I prefer it was the first, so we have the kind of continuing train of downward wicks. But it kind of turned and flipped and pulled back from that one. So I don't know that we'll be able to get up there inside of a burst. It looks like this one wants to continue to go higher and reach that zone. Right now, looking at this, you got to look at this right now and say, hey, listen, we're uptrend confirmed. We're pulling back. We are grabbing a zone. But the U.S. trader has not been online yet. The U.S. trader is just coming online now, okay, at 8:30. So again, right now, this is basically the European traders can throw this any which way that they want, right? Any which way that they want. Well, now U.S. has to say, okay, are we going to stay with a strong dollar today? Or are we going to stay with a weak dollar today? Are we going to say, hey, listen, the yen is weak or strong? But this is where the pullback is happening right now. I actually do like this zone up top. If we're able to kind of get some momentum now and push higher, and again, I'm talking about like the next hour and a half, 2 hours up to 10:30, there could be an interesting kind of reversal short off of this today. Somewhere in this zone. Now, obviously, the knockout brackets of this one aren't really lined up perfectly, but this entry right here for a reversal would probably not be horrible if we can get up to this 107.72 right around 10 o'clock. Okay. I think it has the potential to do it. I mean, it's got 2 hours. It's got 4 candles. U.S. traders coming online. It kind of makes sense as a potential reversal area for me today. Again, I like how this kind of based. I mean, again, it based a while, but it dropped below, based, and then kind of exploded off of it. So, not a bad zone. Not a horrible zone. But again, hopefully we're able to catch these buyers and kind of push back up again. That's what I'd be looking for later. Dollar Swiss. Look at this thing. Boring, pop, and then just kind of moving back again. So that's what this one does. Look at this. So boring, and then a pop, and it's like, yes, it moved. And then, but you had to stomach all this. It's actually not close to much. I mean, on a daily basis, you can see we're kind of wicking around. We didn't make it all the way back to the bottom yet. Here's your 4-hour. I mean, it's kind of it spent all this time dropping, then came back, and we're still kind of sitting right there. I don't think this one is going to make it the 44 pips that we need to kind of really get an entry in much. And even so, looking at that, it's not like that is a stellar grade A, USD prime, it's it's not even really the best for me. Obviously there's you could draw the zone from here, but it looks great on the 4 hour, but when you drop it down to like an hourly, not as much, right? Not as much. Going into a Friday, being 44 pips away or 40 pips away from that area, the 4 hour ATR on this one is 33 pips. So it's got over 4 hours worth of ATR to even get to that level. In 4 hours, we're talking about, the day is over half done for the US markets with nobody else trading. I just don't feel like we're going to be able to get up to that zone, hit that zone, turn, and go into profit before the end of the day. And again, I don't, typically don't hold this pair over the weekend. So, this one may also be something that we're looking at for a Sunday night trade. It's only about a 12 pip zone. So, I mean, if we can get under 15, and again, I'm using the entire green candle. If we can get under 15 on a 4 hour, this is what that trade will look like going into Sunday, right? Right there, along those lines. Okay. Which not bad, right? I mean, we get a spike up today or a gap on Sunday night into that zone. I think that'd be a pretty nice one to take. All right, going over to NQ land. So NQ was just literally just there's no other way to say it. It fell yesterday. It collapsed and now it's been rallying back up again after it turned. So you guys can see from the daily, right? We talked about getting into that short all-time highs, looking for the failure to go higher. We were able to see that as well. It took a very, very steep decline collapse into an area where we saw mega buyers, right? We saw this kind of level. It had some problems, right? It kept hitting it here and then it gapped down and then kind of pushed up and pulled back again. Came up and rode the top of the zone, hit again, and then boom, exploded. So this green zone, again, if I continue that zone to the left, you'll see how powerful that area was, right? Again, hit it here, came up, hit it again, dropped, hit it again, dropped, hit it, boom, boom. And again, old seller, new buyer. Well, buyers came back in again. Now, they did push the zone pretty deep. It went all the way to the end of that zone again. So I would warn you guys, be cautious about that zone next time. Okay? Remember, there are not an indefinite number of buyers and sellers in zones. Eventually, they do fail. The fact that this pushed this deep into the zone leads me to believe that it is not a big group of buyers as what we had sellers before, because sellers held this for many different pushes before it got pretty deep into the zone. This one happened pretty quick. Okay. What we could be looking at in this pair is actually a drop to the downside, that Harry Potter trade next time. Now, I'm not saying it's doing it today, but I'm just saying next time we come down, you got to keep this on your radar on the 4 hour chart, that if we break through this zone, right, if we break through, there is a potential short sitting here in NQ from that level. Now, more what we can do with this today, okay? So let's move a lot of these, different drawings out of here. So we do have a large level above. We are sitting in a level right now. And again, this is, you could call this a wick over wick. I mean, price has been here and it's tested a few times, right? But it's not really clean. It's not equal on both sides, even on the 30-minute. Okay. We are pushing in. We are technically now in a downtrend, right? I could move this across here. Let me change this color so we don't mess anybody up. Wait, why are you going long off that? We're not reusing it, just this color. Okay. We're kind of sitting in this pattern right now, right? So in the overnight, again, this is a 30-minute chart. So when I say the overnight, it's kind of a, it's that same 6 o'clock window that we ran into. We have been pushing down, okay? But what happens right here at 8:30? That's technically when the U.S. traders come online and we're seeing a reaction to it. Now, the question is, are they just retracing the losses from the overnight? Are they going up to grab more sellers right there? Will they make a continued push back to the downside? Now, big kind of problem I have with this one, again, I'm going to use this, this risk to reward here. Okay. Here's what makes me a little bit worried about this area is just the fact that our 1 to 3 is on the opposing side of a zone. Okay. We've seen price come down and we've seen this spike up pretty well. And it's actually based off a level here. So it's an interesting level that we're at right now that we're pulling back into. I want to see what happens and what unfolds in the next basically half hour now that we have traders online. It's not an ideal area, okay? It is a clean turn. It is a failure to go higher. It is somewhat inside of a wick over wick on a larger time frame. It's not high on the curve. It's not low on the curve on this lower time frame. So I don't necessarily love it as far as a reversal zone, but it may be something, worthwhile to kind of watch this morning. Again, if we're unable to get into it, yeah, then it's probably valid for later in the day, or at least using it for a target. This bottom zone here, this green, I can't say that I'm a big fan about that one. Yes, it shot right down, straight right back up again. It was formed like in the middle of the night though, with really nothing. Um, that makes me a little bit nervous. Just because again, there's not enough volume really kind of backing this. This one at 6 may not be horrible. Now, this zone up top, I do like that one. There is obviously a bit more aggressive of an entry. That would have to move quite a bit from the U.S. Open to get up that high. It doesn't mean that it can't do it. It absolutely could, but that'd be a pretty big push in the early morning here, right? Trying to see if what I would take if I would use that for a reversal. Yeah, I would definitely use that as for a reversal. I just don't know if we can get up that high. Talking here. Again, remember my prices are going to be slightly off of yours. Yeah, it's a big push in the morning. Yeah, I don't know if we're going to make that far up. Whoops. All that. I don't know on that one. Let me see what I got in the other two indices and see if we got something a little bit better. All right, so doesn't see that the short we had when we broke this zone worked out. Also, I didn't trade this one, but this one ended up pushing right to the bottom. Over. Zone's all right, but I want to refine. Yeah. Okay, this one is, let's see. Got in this one. This could be setting up. Yeah, it's 25. We can do that. All right, so this could be an interesting position here. Okay. Again, I'm using the second body. You could make it smaller if you wanted to, but I'm just looking at a generalized area of where if price gets up to. So it looks like in early morning hours, we are definitely pushing higher, right? Higher highs, lower lows. I'm sorry, higher highs, higher lows. It's pushing up. You could draw, if you wanted to draw like an equidistant channel, I don't have that on here, but if you wanted to draw an equidistant channel, you could grab one here, and then again, put one here as well. Okay. You guys know I'm not big on that, but again, the overall market is you're going to see those things. With that push higher, again, we would need a morning rally. Doesn't mean it can't happen, but if we get that morning rally, this area is probably prime for a reversal. And again, if we have a big push up in the morning and that news comes in and that news sucks, which again, 75 is not great, that could be where there's a nice kind of flip around, bringing this back down and closing us at 3064. Again, 3060, 3064 it has on mine, but again, 3060 is probably about where it would be for reversal. So this could be a 10 o'clock in the morning trade. If again, U.S. market, if for some reason at the open it just this thing just tanks, again, we're gonna have to look for levels to kind of pull back up to for reversal a bit, or a bit later. This zone, not so much. This one's okay. This zone is probably all right. I just don't love a lot of these other ones. Yeah, I mean, here would be your top and your bottom. You got to see what happens with the U.S. Open. See where this is going to push us. I do like it more to the short side though. I got to say, I definitely I'm more into this one than I would be on this one. Although this one's been tested, so I guess either way would actually work. I guess. This was a tested zone here as well. So, we're right in the middle. We go up or down either of these by 10 o'clock. You'd be willing to take, a long or short in either of those two. Okay. This would be up here, and down from that level. Either of those two is good for me. Top or bottom. All right. Looking at the Dow. All right, so Dow did the same thing, and you guys can see it literally bounced right off of a zone that was what? It was tested. Here's your push in, here's your base, there's your pop, there's your test, and then boom. Okay, so this one has been tested multiple times as well. This is funny. I don't know if you guys remember me saying yesterday. J-Tech got all excited. He asked me the other day, where could this go to? He's like, I don't think it's going that far. And then the next and I told him, he's like, where's the next zone? I was like, 25, 350-ish, somewhere in that area. And then ended up turning just above, but all it was a pullback and then a push farther. So it was a funny conversation. He was like, I don't know that it's going to go that far. I'm like, we'll see. And it ended up going all the way far. So it's always funny when people message me and they ask for things, and I'm like, around there. I mean, I had this drawn. I was like, here's down here, and so it did what it did. All right, so where we are now, it's kind of like the same thing. Yeah, I mean, we still have this bottom level marked out, this 25,079-ish area. Again, that's off a 4-hour zone. I don't know if we're going to pull back that much. That'd be quite a bit of a pullback in the overnight. Dropping down to lower levels. Let's refresh the indicator. This one has an all right area. I mean, this is not bad, right? Right here, kind of the same idea, right? We had a nice pullback, and then look at this. This is a nice push. That zone was formed at about 10 o'clock last night, so 9:30. It could be a little bit better, but that's actually not bad. So again, if we can get that same rally this morning, we could also be getting a short. Whoops. Also be getting a short off of that level right there. So yeah, that's not bad. Again, if we get kind of an increased pace up for the next 2 hours and hit that zone, yeah, that could be a nice little flip. Kind of the same thing. Again, downside, we're right in the middle. So this is kind of the same kind of thing we drew before, right? One here, right? That level, and then kind of down here, right? Either one of these two is probably worth a buy or a sell, depending on what happens at the open. And what all that does for us really is give us kind of a retrace back again and give us a day that's pretty much like just blah, right? We didn't really move, right? But yes, there is always movement inside of days that don't necessarily move much. Again, that would be a nice little up trace or down trace and retrace back. All right, so let's go across gold. So gold. Gold is bouncing through a zone that we marked. We had two zones marked off, right? This one had a nice drop at base and a nice pop out the top side. As you guys can see, it did spend a lot of time there. It retraced back again, which, we had talked about that. This spike here was what we saw, the FOMC spike, right? Again, spike here, spike here. This one hasn't fully retraced yet. It got about halfway through. So again, moving sideways, it's going back up again. If you were in this, obviously you're profitable. It's not the most beautiful thing in the world. So on an hourly, you guys can see that we are approaching a zone. I don't know if this zone's going to hold. This one got pushed pretty deeply right here. I mean, we went to there. Okay, I don't know if you guys can see that, but there's a slim shaving right above of area. This one so gold can be affected by consumer sentiment. So gold obviously is associated with inflation, and it's a hedge for inflation. Only problem with this one is if the consumer is not, I mean, like I said, a 75 is not a confident consumer. If people are spending money, that's where inflation comes from. If people are not spending money, that's where inflation is not coming from. So we got an hour and a half. This would need to move a little bit more, but there may actually be a short sitting here. Is it the best short in the world? No. And the reason why is because the price is already pushed so far into here. I don't know how many there are going to be left. But again, we're close enough. If it pushes back up into that zone for 10 o'clock and that number is bad, worse than 75 or lower than 75, that could definitely be a sign that, hey, listen, we're not going to see inflation. The consumer is not getting more confident, and turn and flip this back down. And the 1 to 3 profit target on this one is probably where you want to be. So, yeah, that one's not bad. Again, that zone's approximately, again, check it with yours as ZCN-based data. This is 1741, and that would be bringing it back down to 1730, right? Would be kind of where the target is on that one for gold. Silver, kind of similar. Silver is kind of stuck right now in basing on the hourly. Looking on the 30-minute, you can see that it's really been kind of focusing on this zone, right? It hit the zone, it bounced, it came back up, and then it bounced again. It came below and then came back up. And you guys see how it sucked right into this zone? Again, kind of an important level. It's acting as a magnet with price right now. So I'll remove it. And that's kind of what we're dealing with. There's a couple small zones in here, none that are screaming to me. Again, obviously there's a zone right there. It's been tested as well. We're a little bit far from it. I don't know if I would use this for a reversal. If gold rallies, this is probably going to rally to the same exact point. But this one being in the middle of kind of the high and the low here, I don't like it as much. I like gold more for a short. Kind of my take on it, right? It's okay. It's okay because it's been tested, right? We know there's sellers stepping in, but I wish it was this zone, right? Gold is testing this zone, not this one. Um, but if this one does turn and flip right now, I do see it coming back down and planting itself most likely over here in the 1735-ish range, probably just a little bit lower. That was a pretty nice push off point. Okay. Again, we've cleared all this other stuff with this. So yeah, I think that's probably a good downward target for silver. It's just whether or not we can get a clean entry that gives us a defined risk here. All right. All right. Oil. So oil, there's been two different trades in the last, I don't know, since last night. I don't know if you guys were able to grab either one of them. So one of them was a Harry Potter based trade. So remember on the hourly, guys, on the hourly, we had a top line and a bottom line set up that we had kind of pushed off of. Okay. The bottom line, and again, I mentioned this before, and I just kind of went through it just a second ago. When zones are pushed this deeply, you have to assume that they're going to be broken. Because if price was able to push that deep into it, there's no sellers or there's no buyers, right? This one ended up finding some finally at the very, very end and coming out. But what happened the next time? Okay. This one kicked in the overnight, right? What happened? It came down, it stabilized, it broke. It came back up and retested, and the old buyers became sellers. So what did it do? It came up and it dropped and it hit its 3-to-1. Okay, you guys can see right here the ratio. I don't know if you guys can see this. Ratio is 1-to-3. There's your 1-to-3. Okay. Now, below that, we also had a zone as well. And again, looking to the left, there was nothing there. So this was something newly created. Price dropped hard, bounced, and became a new point. It had not been tested yet. So this was an untested level. And also, what do we do? You guys can see right here. This is a ratio. Oh, the ratio should be fixed. Hold on. I moved it. Go 3. Oh, so close. Right there. Perfect. Look at that. 1-to-3. You guys can see the same thing happened. Okay. I will say I like TradingView, the fact that it actually marks it off and shows you when it hit profit target. But same idea. Okay, this one came back down and bounced. So, two different trade setups in the overnight in gold. Where it is right now, we're more towards the top side of this one. Obviously, price didn't spend a lot of time here. It did get turned away from where we are right now. Again, I'll draw. Yeah, we'll go ahead and draw this. It's sitting in this level right now. Right there. Okay, so price has been in this zone. So you guys can see where the candles are. Okay, so that's kind of where we're sitting in. If I had to make a call right now with gold, I would have to say I'm probably bearish minded, but I don't know if I would use this as far as my entry goes. I like the fact that there's not a lot of pullbacks. There's a little tiny one, but it's nothing too crazy. We're kind of right at that area. There could potentially be a short in this position right now. I do like the level above it slightly better, although we are in an area where we've seen sellers step in. So kind of an interesting position. Again, the Harry Potter was easy up here. This was obviously an easy reversal. Made sense as far as it pushed and it went into an untested clean zone. If this zone didn't exist, I'd be okay with this, taking a short right now. With everything. Timing is right. Everything looks good on this one. It's just that there's a zone right on top of this one. And again, sometimes that upper zone is what acts as kind of the push, right? But again, we have sellers here. This came up and actually put another level in that this one hit that triggered that. Again, this is the first time we've been back into this level as well. And again, it was tested here. So yeah, a couple different things. And again, looking for a short position off of that, what it would look like is, something along these lines, right? And clearance would be here. All right. Right there. All right. So you'd be looking at bringing price, and again, you can take this for a short when it breaks out of the zone. That would be around 36 here. I'll put some horizontal lines on it for you guys. Horizontal line, put it there. And you guys can see the blue dot there. Right there. Again, that's coming off of, actually, this blue dot should be right there. So this is, you can see it's off just slightly. There we go. There's right there. And then the target would be down here. Okay. So if it breaks back lower, again, that's where you could step in at, is at 36.40 range, and then looking for 35.24. It is a Friday, so again, that's a bit of movement for a Friday. We may not got that entire movement because, like I said, the day kind of gets cut short off. But that's kind of what we, That's kind of your setup for oil. Like I said, great Harry Potter, a break of a level that was pierced extremely deep, a pullback here, again, on the 30-minute. You guys can see it. Very, very clear. Got your distance, pulled back up, and then boom, all the way down. And then again, this was a newly untested zone. Pop right off of it. And again, you may have got nervous, right? Came back up, went almost all the way up. You're like, yes, I'm right there. Oh, God. And then all the way. Okay. Ended up hitting your profit target. Yeah, so that would be your oil setup for the morning. All right. All right, we got about 2 minutes ready to go. I don't know. Do we have any non-normal followers in here? It doesn't look like we do this morning. I always like to ask if there's anybody that they want me to look at anything today. Looking to break 3,000, maybe. ADX needs to reach on the next XO portfolio. Anything else you guys want me to look at? Any stocks, any indexes, any additional pairs? Let me see real quick. I gotta pull. It's sized for on this side. That is set up. Or EuroCAD has one. Real quick, hold on, let me see. I think uptrend setup, but EuroCAD doesn't make any sense for right now. All right. So with that being said, guys, it's 9 o'clock. If nobody has anything else they want me to look at, we will go ahead and call it for the day. Like I said, we got about an hour before news kicks in. Okay. Like I said, the news that I keep, going back to is this University of Maryland or University of Michigan. It's not Maryland. University of Michigan consumer sentiment. And like I said, 75 is kind of a, 75 is not good, but again, if price comes in or if that number comes in at 80, that would definitely give the markets a boost today. All right. So let's bring the tickets across. Looks like we have 6 entrants. Not everybody has actually purchased tickets today. Again, everybody gets a free ticket. Who we got in here? James has not bought his ticket yet. I saw James typing around. Josh is in with his. Wealth Builder is in. There's James. Who else are we missing? I feel like we're missing somebody else. This is too early for Q. He doesn't wake up this early. I think that's it, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we're probably good. We got 10 people in channel, 11 people in channel. They're going to come in at the last minute and go ahead and take this from you guys. I'm going to give you guys a minute and a half. When this goes to 1 hour completely, I will go ahead and then draw the giveaway for the day today. So anybody that's new that's sneaking in last minute, exclamation point ticket, get yourself a ticket real quick. Easiest way to make the some people angry. If Q jumps in at the last minute and puts a ticket in, though, I'm going to laugh at you guys. It will be absolutely hysterical. Wes should be in here. I don't know where Wes is at. Kid Zion, you were here earlier. He doesn't have his ticket yet. Where the heck did he go? I saw him earlier. Where did he go? Oh, I refreshed it. Yeah. Kid Zion should be in. I saw him type in earlier. Look at that. Kid Zion, you're missing the entry, man. You're missing it. And who the last one? You guys remember who won the last one? Was it Wealth Builder? Oh, yeah. It was Wealth Builder. Yep. Wealth Builder won the last one because I remember he called the shot and he picked it. So we got 30 seconds to go. See if Wealth Builder is able to pull it again. Got 3 tickets, guys. He got 3 tickets. Give him some competition here. There we go, Will. Thank you. Make it a little bit more fair. Here we go. 9 seconds. 8 seconds. And you guys will see the winner because of the delay. But 4, 3, 2, 1. Bam. All right. So now is when Q will jump in and be like, wait a second. All right, here we go. Let's see, guys. Will Wealth Builder be the first one? Will Will be the spoiler? Will Ernest take it with 1 ticket? Oh, that's who we're missing. Uh-oh. All right, guys. I need everybody to go to Discord and start jumping. Who are we missing here? Guys, I'll give you a hint. It begins with a D. Debbie. Debbie's missing. We're going to have to get on her later on. All right, winner night of this morning. How am I said tonight? Winner of this morning's drawing is Oh, wow. Wow. Look at that. Will jumped in there and stole it. Wow. Wow. Will making new enemies. Wealth Builder's like, I had a plan, and whew, wow, 3 in 1 year. I knew Will was gonna do it. Wealth Builder's like, Wealth Builder, don't get negative on me now. Don't get negative. Will stepped in. Every dog has his day. Defense, defense, defense. Oh, that's so good. That's so funny. Wow, look at that. All right, got to give Will his chips. Hey, Will goes on these streaks where it's like, he gets nothing for 6 months and all of a sudden comes back. So we got to, got to give some love around. Wealth Builder, here's the problem. Yeah, definitely trade today. Yeah, so here's the problem, Wealth Builder. Yesterday, you came in with or 2 days ago, you came in with all the confidence in the world, right? Your consumer confidence level was over 100. You called your shot and you won. You had a plan. Today, you weren't as confident. You showed weakness. And these guys jumped on that weakness, right? They jumped on the weakness and they stole it from you. If you would have been confident, you'd have been good. I knew it should have bought 4. Yep. There you go. You should have done it. Plus rollover. Wait, what? Plus rollover. Remember prices. Whoa. Yeah. Yep. All right, guys. So I don't see anything else moving today. Like I said, we went over everything. Yeah, you're seeing a little bit of a halt, but it's nice to see that push. We're back in that level again and again. It's now 9 o'clock and we're still having issues with that level. That could be a telltale sign of what we have short. Actually, let me take one more minute here and let me check to see if there's a knockout anywhere close to that. Tech 100. Their chart real quick. 30 minutes. 30 minutes. Same level. Horizontal line. Horizontal line. All right, so their entry is right around now. Thank God for that duplicate function. That's all right. So, all right, let me go back up top. Let's move over. The closest knockout is a 97.97. It's a little bit high. Top of this zone. So according to Nadex, the top of this zone is 97. Let's see right here. The top of that zone would be 97.93. Closest knockout is 97.97. Okay. Close. It's close. They're up like over in here. But knockout is up here. Maybe. Maybe. I don't know. I like this zone better. I hate giving up the extra 4 if I don't have to. But there's one there if you guys are looking for something. Another option on that one too would be let's see. Tech 100. Daily. Has all kinds of stuff jacked into it right now. Can't believe they have this much jacked in. Wow, they're expecting a big move today. That's pretty nuts. Oh well, it's Friday too. There's that. Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff going on. Yeah, not as big fan of that one. All right, so with that said, guys, I'm out of here. Good trading today. Make sure you guys stay safe. And again, Monday we will back. Just so for the people that are on, Monday we'll be back to our Monday night trading. Definitely do Monday nights. Probably do Friday mornings from now on. Tuesday I have Nadex. I don't know if I'll do Tuesday mornings and Tuesday nights. Wednesdays I'm not sure yet either. So we'll figure it out. I'll get it ironed out this weekend. All right, you guys take care. Thanks again, and I'll catch you guys later. Good trading today.